Everyone, and welcome to the very first edition of the Rwazi Mixer event. We are happy to have you here to learn, grow, and inspire with us. We are currently live on all our social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Please just log in and drop a flag from wherever you're watching from. We have people watching from all over the world. Drop a flag and we'll wave right back at you. I'm Cynthia Mugambwa, your host today with Grace.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace Kinywa. We're so happy to have you here at the Rwazi virtual mixer event. So before we get started, I'll invite our COO at Rwazi, Eric, to officially start and commence this event. Eric, karibu.
Hi everyone, those of you who are joining in from all different parts of the world. We're glad to have you here on this event, and we're looking forward to discussing so many things, and we believe that will have quite a big impact onto the continent of Africa and the economy, social life, and different parts of basically the lifestyle. So we look forward to you guys can be pushing in your questions through the discussions, and then we'll be responding to you. We're happy to have you here, guys. Okay.
Thank you so much, Eric. Before we even begin to table our discussions, I'd like to state our event partners. We have partnered with Joberman, Nigeria, with Wapi, Credible Pro, The Room, Global, and Tech Talk Africa to bring you this event. And before we move on, I'd like to invite our speakers to introduce themselves, what they do, and the companies they work for, because I think that any presentation, any introduction that I or Grace may make may not do them justice. Over to you, Natasha.
All right. Thank you very much, Cynthia. And hi, everyone. I am very honored and glad to be the first edition of the Rwazi Mixer event. My name is Natasha Katondwachi. I am a final year student of computer science at Cavendish University, and I am the team head. I'm a co-founder and the CEO at Wapi. Wapi is a digital talent marketplace. We built a platform that enables freelancers to showcase their portfolio and enable them have access to digital earning opportunities while employers can hire them there. I mostly do customer relations, leading the team at Wapi, and basically everything that needs my hand in it. And I can't wait to learn and hear from you.
Thank you, Natasha.
I think we can have Olamide.
Hi, good. Okay, it's afternoon in Nigeria. Good afternoon, everyone. Super excited to be here. My name is Olamide Adeyeye. I serve as the lead of monitoring, evaluation, research, and learning at Joberman Nigeria. Joberman is Africa's largest platform of connecting job seekers to employers, and we do this across several countries in Africa. But I work with the Nigerian team, and it's been amazing, facilitating the connection of young people to employers. And we also facilitate training, soft skills training for about 5 million young people in Nigeria, while we also with 3 million people in the world. Looking forward to a well time on this call. Thank you.
Thank you, Olamide. I think we'll move on to Lillian Wangari from The Room. Over to you, Lillian.
All right. Thanks, Cynthia, and hello, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. My name is Lillian. Perfect. My name is Lillian Wangari. I am currently the employer relations lead at The Room, with a focus in really supporting and find top talent. The room is essentially a community of top talent from across the board. We are part of the Africa Leadership Group, which houses the Africa Leadership Universities and the Africa Leadership Academy. And so we work with the students who go through our programs to find them perfect opportunities, and I'm really happy to be here.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for that.
Back to you.
Sorry about that, Cynthia. Yeah. I think we could have Collins, who's the guy behind us. I'm not sure if you can see his video, but he's certainly joining us. Collins, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. My video is unfortunately not working for today, but my name is Collins, co-founder and COO at WAPI, and I'm very happy to be here and looking forward to this.
All right, thank you. So welcome to all of our panelists, and thank you so much for creating time to have this conversation. As all of you know, or you might be aware, we're talking about how to make a world of opportunities. And here at Rwazi, we really value the opportunities that technology presents to us, and also all of our partners do the same as well. So we'll just get started with the conversation, and I think I'll start with you, Lillian. Can you talk to us about what opportunity technology presents to startups and to businesses, especially in this digital world today?
Yeah, thanks, Grace. So I'll just simply start off by saying at this point, currently in Revolution, we have completely shifted how we look for work and how we engage with opportunities online. Gone are the days where you're finding an opportunity, on the newspaper or, on blasted on radio. And technology has really played a key part in really improving our inclusivity and really availability, making opportunities available for everyone across the world. Something we've seen a sharp rising is that opportunities that are currently based across the continent are available for individuals across the board. I'm a Kenyan, but I work with a global company and vice versa. And so technology has really played a huge part in just, first of all, improving our inclusivity, and secondly, just making sure that people are more knowledgeable in how the world works, right? Technology has improved how access to information has increased and penetrated the content. We can see that individuals are literally getting themselves experts by simply sitting back at their home and kicking off a whole course online. So technology has completely improved how we access opportunities by just making it more inclusive and really allowing us also access information across the globe. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that. And as we move on to Eric, kindly talk to us about how technology has allowed us to be more inclusive, with the background of over 10,000 mappers within Rwazi, and even as we expand to other parts of the world. How important is it, especially for the youth of today, to be able to access opportunity using technology?
Thank you, Grace. We believe that at Rwazi that given to the easy access of technology, and sometimes when we talk about technologies, people think of AI or quantum computing and all that. It could be as simple as just having an app on your phone, or it could be as simple as just having, like, for example, like an Instagram or Facebook app on your phone. When we were expanding out, we're looking for how can we reach out more diverse communities, and these communities can easily be found via Facebook, via Instagram, via LinkedIn. And so it is as simple as just breaking it down to just an app. And that allowed us to be even more diverse. How can we reach out more to the women? How can we reach out more to like different sectors of the communities that we're living in? And that's how technology empowered us really to just reach out to these people without spending a lot of money, because we didn't even have to fly into these different countries. We just have to use this technology to like connect. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and when we talk about the question of connectivity, I know central to the work that WAPI does is concerned about connecting job seekers to job recruiters. And so how vital has it been to be able to access technology in a safe way that supports your work as a freelancer or even as someone who's looking for a job? and how vital is that, especially for young people today who are looking to get into the economy? Natasha.
All right, thank you very much, Grace. So technology is very vital, especially for freelancers or people that have digital skills that are looking to find access to digital earning opportunities. Why? Because, like Lillian said, you don't have to maybe go out of the way to spend a lot of time trying to get a skill that you can get in like a week's course online or even less. You can acquire all those skills that you need to acquire. And then usually you find that freelancers that are taking advantage of the gig economy may not be working for one or a single employer in a given period of time. They could be working for multiple employers or working on several projects at the same time. Now you find that access to technology enables them to be able to execute all these tasks at the same time because one, most probably they are operating remotely, and then they have the tools that they need to be able to track their to-do lists or prioritize tasks or check on the progress of their projects that they are working on and things like that. And then again, it also helps them in the process of accessing them. For example, if you're not using technology or like other spaces where projects are being shared, you may not be able to know the available opportunities that you could take advantage of, or the skills that are on more demand than others, and then how to acquire them now that you know that they are on demand, and all that comes with being able to execute. So I definitely think that technology and access to it comes in handy for freelancers that are looking to be able to work on several projects at the same time.
Right. And, when you talk about the access to information, especially in terms of people upskilling and being able to grow themselves, Olamide, kindly take us through why it is so important, especially for people who are looking to get jobs, people who are really looking to start their own businesses, to learn certain skills and especially soft skills as connected to the work that you're doing at Joberman today.
Oh, thank you so much, Grace. Just listening to everything that has been said, I think we can't overemphasize the importance of technology in today's world. I like to say that technology has become a leverage and a leveler, right? Going back to the whole conversation around developments in the Western world, when compared to Africa, you see that it seemed like Africa missed out of a big chunk of that transformation when it comes to economic development. But with the entire landscape of technology today, you see the small startup like a Paystack or a Flutterwave in Nigeria become a unicorn within a short while, just because of the leverage and the level of technology. So talking about how this technology now becomes, that platform where you can now skill and get better as either a job seeker or even someone who wants to get into self-employment or gig work and all of that. I think that importance cannot be overemphasized. You see, for instance, at Jobberman today, we're in partnership with Mastercard Foundation, to upskill 5 million young people across Nigeria with critical soft skills. And one of the things that came out of that entire process is seeing that, today a lot of young people have art skills. They can do things. They probably read some of those courses in school, or they've gone into one apprenticeship or technical college in one way or the other. But simple things like communication, see, learning, the emotion are things that are lacking and have been found to be very important and even affecting young people's transition, either into work or even across the social strata. So, and I think technology today has democratized that entire process. So today we have our training platforms, for instance, on as simple as WhatsApp, right, to as complicated as Coursera or to a Telegram or to a Thinkific. So I think that beyond technology being that platform to just collaborate, to learn, to just be that platform to collaborate and socialize, it's also been a major platform of learning and improving your value as an individual. And time will definitely fail me to go into how it can also be leveraged to, learn a lot of technical skills. The DIY conversation is something that is common today, and technology has made that available to everyone, even in the most remote parts of the world. So I think definitely it's changing the face of talent, growing, and also how young people can upskill themselves to better get positioned for employment opportunity.
Okay. And I think it's very important that you talk about changing the face of what that looks like, especially in this world today. And I'd like, Collins, for you to just touch on how vital and necessary it is, especially for African youth and African players, to be at par in terms of technological advancement and the ability to learn, access information, and collaborate, especially in the world that we're living in today. Collins. Collins, are you able to get me? Okay, I think he's having a bit of technical issues there. But let me just throw it back to you, Eric, as you talk about the importance and vitality of us using the resource of technology, especially for the African youth, for collaborative purposes.
I think when it comes to, again, connectivity and collaboration, I feel like technology opens up an infinite number of opportunities that a person can like access. Because before, the only kind of opportunities that you're limited to the people that you know, maybe the newspapers or maybe the ads that you're seeing on TV. But like right now, there's quite so many opportunities that basically right now you're limited to your research skills on finding the different opportunities out there. Because there's a lot of on LinkedIn, there's a lot of on Facebook. So literally everywhere there is an opportunity. It's as long as if you look for it, you can really find it. I feel like it has opened up possibilities beyond what a person could do before. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Cynthia?
I think we'll hear from Collins first. He's all good to go.
Oh, he's back
On the
now.
same.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Collins, kindly go ahead.
Yeah, maybe you could repeat the question, Grace, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. I was talking about why is it important that we change the face of technology, and especially the youth of Africa? Why is it so important that they have a part in that and they're able to actively participate as key players within technological advancements?
Yeah, I think like technology has played a big role even outside of Africa in terms of like how the human race is developing. So that's why I think it's like very important that we use that same the same like things that have really worked for other people to then figure out a way to get Africa like to the next stage. And like the most interesting part for Africa, and what I always say is that we have this chance to like skip like almost three industrial revolutions and like jump from like the first to the fourth industrial revolution, which other people maybe never had the chance to. But we can do that now, and you can see how fast it's happening, right? Like with the adoption of mobile money, with the adoption of mobile phones, and we're like on a fast track to really do great things. And we just really now to need to get people to be aware of how to use this technology to create more awareness, to create more skilling, and yeah, we can really do amazing things with it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eric. Sorry. Thank you so much, Collins. Moving on to our next point of discussion. I'll start with you, Natasha. Now, as we've seen before across Africa, in our communities, the current situation of unemployment is quite clear. There is evidence that links to it. How can the youth across Africa leverage technology to do better both personally and professionally?
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you very much, Cynthia. So, like Colin said, and the rest of the speakers, the access to technology and the technology tools that are available at the moment give us infinite opportunities that we can access. And you find that it's no longer the traditional way of things that we used to know in the past, whereby you have to go to school, finish, and then I'll get an office job, 5 to 8,
Yeah.
things like that. You find that the people that are in those positions are maybe not ready to leave them yet, or even the businesses that are coming up are looking for value that has been added onto them. So if an employer is bringing you onto their team, what you're going to be doing, is it something that they can either use a certain technology tool to perform better than you can, or are you
Yeah.
directly bringing in revenue because of what you're doing? So,
Yeah.
or how many people are you replaceable? So, I think with all those things in place, I think that the youth should take advantage of the technology that is available to make sure that they are getting skills, that there is that particular unique thing about you that you can do, and when you're in a workplace, you're leaving an impact such that your employer is at a greater cost of losing you than actually replacing you, that you're not easily replaceable, yeah, that you're
Okay.
constantly upskilling yourself, taking advantage of the tools that have been presented to us, constantly
Yeah.
upskilling yourself and making sure that you're never getting stagnant. Because like Colin said, I mean, the world is transitioning, the continent is transitioning. Very many things are coming in place that can do things that we would manually do ourselves. So, what is that one thing that makes you unique, such that your employer does not want to lose you, or are you
Yeah.
diverse, or are you simply, the kind of person that will only do what has been asked, or you're not doing extra, or because you know what you know, you're keeping yourself in that bracket and you cannot adjust to new tools. So I think that it is important for youth to always look out for those new things that are coming up, understand how to use them. Always on the lookout for things that are more needed now that were needed before, or what is on the market and that is a prerequisite, and how can I improve myself and work on it in that regard, and make sure that I'm actually a valuable part of the business. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Natasha. Moving on to Lillian. I'd like to know, with the work that's being done at the room, the room is currently one of those places or platforms that's producing maybe what we'd call cream de la cream software engineers. What kind of work goes into making sure that before you before you before these people get out onto the market, that they are able to keep up to date with technology and remain relevant in wherever they're going to be placed?
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia. For sure, one thing that we have seen and noticed is that we have a diverse group of individuals who are eager and very excited. So, as a lot of the candidates who are going through our program are really, first of all, very passionate and very driven, and really want to take on the change and really want to drive change and innovation in the different spaces. So that has been one part that more or less has supported us and has made the process easier. And two, we also want to make it very relevant. And what we've done is we've sat down to analyze what is out there, what is happening currently, what is the recent technology companies, let's say, are doing, and using that kind of information to give our individuals and our participants so that they're also playing at the same level as the global front, right? So we want to make sure that we constantly give them information that is relevant, information that they can use to solve real-time challenges. Of course,
Yeah.
hopefully replicate that to find solutions for the current challenges they're facing here in the continent. So it really is just about, first of all, looking through what is out there in the internet, what are people offering, what are people using, and then using that to make them understand that you can re-evaluate that information you're having and find solutions that are fit for the society you're in or the community that you're playing a part in. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lillian. Moving on to Eric. Could you tell us or expound on how Rwazi is currently, Rwazi is involved in the gig economy. They provide gigs to young people across Africa. How is Rwazi making sure that as young people go through their gigs or go through their time at Rwazi, how does it make sure that they remain relevant for wherever they're going to be placed next?
Thank you, sir. So how we ensure that that our we call them mappers, our data collectors, we call them mappers, that they are more relevant with the different order sizes that we get, is one, we try as much as possible to equip them with the necessary skills that are needed to empower them better execute faster on these different gigs that we get. So Rwazi, we get a diversity of skills. So today we may be mapping out in the real estate businesses. Next time we're into consumer goods. The other time we're into careers, mapping out which different careers employers looking out for and all that. And so with each and every gig that we get, we ensure that these mappers are fully equipped with the materials for training. And yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Eric. Moving on to you, Collins. You are a software engineer who is currently working with WAPI. You've done work with Pareto, with Andela, and you have like a wealth of experience from all corners. How, from your personal point of view, how do you think young people can also leverage technology, both personally and professionally? Collins, can you hear me? Collins, are you there? I think we're unable to get Collins right now, so I'll move on to Olamide. Okay, let's move on to Olamide. Moving on to you, Olamide, I would like to know, you are a program manager and you've executed so many projects to do with young people. How do you equip these young people to make sure that they also remain relevant in the spaces that they're going to move into after any training or projects that they undertake under you?
Thank you so much. For me, I think that the starting point for young people, particularly Africans, right, in changing mindsets is practically starting from the mind. Helping them to see, and helping them to understand that the circumstances may be the same, but the perspectives can be different. I think that we are, particularly in Africa, we have a tendency to always see problems around us. We see how our systems are not working. We see the corruption of our leaders. We see how bureaucracies messes up our public system and several other things, right? But I think that shift from seeing problems to seeing opportunities is the foundation of the interventions we do. So we start off with that, and then also understanding that beyond shifting minds, young people also have to be equipped with skills and tools. Knowledge, skills, and tools. So it's important that the mind is informed, there's awareness. Then beyond awareness, people have the practical skills to thrive in the very harsh condition that we found ourselves as a country, as a continent, and even in localities. We know that we can go on and on around the problems in Africa, right? And we already know that there are structural limitations. But providing young people with the skills and the tools to navigate these systems, to deploy themselves to solving these problems, I think it's a different tone. I'm looking at it from even leveraging technology. I was still reading an article, was it last week, on how the reason why a lot of technological innovation in Africa is thriving is because there is huge problem within, there are a lot of market friction within the entire labor market or within the entire economic landscape. So you see that the majority of employment comes from the informal sector, and that sector is largely unstructured, largely unregulated, and all. And because of that, technology has the opportunity to solve a lot of that problem. So, providing young people with this kind of skills, as simple as data science, as simple as even social media marketing, right? Digital marketing and all of that, we can literally can transform the lives of people. And then the final stage, after the mindset, the skills and tools, is also now empowerment and leverage, right? And when I mean empowerment here, I'm talking about some startup grants, some support in terms of resources or equipment, for them to start up. So one of the things we had even done um, the Jobberman soft skills training was, in order to just encourage young people to, leverage technology to do amazing things. We said, okay, take the soft skills and get a chance to either get a laptop or a mobile phone. And we have found out that that in itself has the tendency to transform the lives of young people across different spectrums. So that's more like the scope of how interventions around young people, we think about it, and we found out that this is the framework that has worked over the years.
Okay. Thank you so much, Olomide. Moving on to you, Collins, once again. Are you able to hear us? Collins? I think we're unable to get Collins, and let's just move on to our next point of discussion. Over to you, Grace.
All right. Thank you, Cynthia. I hope you're able to get Collins as well pretty soon, because it should be really interesting to hear, his perspective on the same. But as we move on, we've always had women in STEM, and we've always had women at the top of different industries. But I think especially within technology, sciences, and things of that nature, more often than not, there's not a clear light shown on the work of women. Sometimes there's a clear light shown on some of the struggles and the kind of gatekeeping that is involved, especially within STEM communities. So I know that Natasha, at WAP, you have an elaborate team of women heading different departments, and you have a good community of women there. How exactly is WAPI creating a community that not only encourages but supports women within STEM?
Thank you very much, Grace. So at WAPI, we are mostly about empowering everyone at large with, to take advantage of the gig economy, to be good with digital skills and all. But we are also looking at women, taking up spaces, women making changes in different aspects of their career or what skills they've acquired. So what we're doing at WAPI is making sure that after we have you on the team, we identify what mostly are you good at and what is that one thing that you can actually lead with confidence and make sure that it is brought to implementation and it is building results. And after we've realized your best point, and then we shall try to support you, to empower you in that regard, to make sure that you're actually making a positive contribution to what the cause is, while least being comfortable at what you're doing and making sure that you're not only helping the cause to grow or the company to grow, but you're also growing yourself through constantly learning how to use the different tools that have been put on our disposal, or identifying more things that you're good at and actually making sure that you have the confidence to take up the spaces that you should take up.
Right, right. And that's exemplary work. I'm getting here Moses Etekwi saying, well done, WAPI team, and we're proud of the work that you're doing, and we certainly support you. Probably as we move on, in terms of gatekeeping, it's not only women that have these obstacles and this kind of loops to go through. And even as we think about, African tech startups, Eric, can you speak to us about how difficult, how easy it is, especially for a tech startup like yourself at Rwazi, to penetrate that market. And especially when you're coming up with a revolutionary idea, if you're coming up with new ideas, how easy or how difficult has it been to penetrate that particular market? And especially looking at it from a global perspective. Eric?
I think I'll approach this in from the financing perspective. So from the financing perspective, for you to run a company, of course, you need finance. You need some little bit of investment, and in the African market or in the marketplace, you find that it's really hard to like close a good round of investment. In that you find that statistics show that it's only like 1% of every business that is started up, or like 1% of startups manage to at least have enough financing to help them live to see another year. So most of the startups die out because of no financing. What mostly founders do, they use that savings just to to try to make revenue. And so when you try to get financing, the investors ask you, are you making any money? Like what kind of revenue you making? And for you, in order to make revenue, you need financing. So it's more like a chicken and egg situation. So that is the biggest challenge for founders, and how you try to leverage, or how we try to leverage that is by maximizing our resources. So again, utilizing the technology that we have. For example, when it came to hiring, we utilized the social media platforms that are available instead of flying to different countries, looking for the best talent. We
Yeah.
try to utilize the power of social media and the power of connectivity to get as many mappers as we can, and as to train them in throughout these different channels, and through that we managed to at least start generating some good revenue. And then from the other perspective, again, I think that is through the talent pool. I think the easiest way we try to bridge up that gap in terms of internal talent is again, because I met, for example, Richard. I met Richard through LinkedIn. That is how we connected, and we started talking about what can you do, and all that, and that's how the conversation got sparked. And you're like, hey, yeah, okay, actually, I have this problem, and can you help me fix it and all that, and so I think putting ourselves out there more helped us to utilize or maximize the little resources that we have to now begin generating an impact. And through that, that's how we now um, started getting at least a little bit of traction from now investors and from different clients. Because even when it comes to also to clients, the funny thing is, um, a client would want to work with somebody that has done something. So if you are like very new into the market, they'll ask you, how are you sure you can, let's say, pull off, or you can really serve me to my capabilities? So they highly doubt. So that is the biggest challenge. And then through the clients, and then we try to reach out, who are our closest friends, what problems do they have, and how can we try to solve those. So it's really starting out with the close network that we have, and then we start building from that. And yeah.
Right, right. Thank you. And I'm sure that my colleague Cynthia is just waiting to talk to you all about the question of mentorship and financing within that industry. But I like that, Eric, you highlight the question, that you highlight the point of solving problems and being able to rally behind whatever it is, whatever resources it is you have. And as we move on to you, Lillian, kindly talk to us about, I'm sure you've seen this push, especially by UN Women and by different agencies, to use women in STEM and to be able to use their capabilities for a push towards creating more sustainable and environmentally friendly societies. How exactly do you think that we can rally behind certain causes, especially for different societies such as women, or say, for example, behind societies such as African startups and things of that nature? How can we use what our society sometimes, which can be sidelined or can be set apart in some way, to actually create effective change within society?
Yeah, that's a good question, Grace. Thank you for that. So, one thing for sure that I advocate for is spreading information. And the challenge we have, honestly, is that the reason why probably the ventures or the programs or the communities that we have already empowered are not known yet, right? So we tend to, do our work, but we're doing it to ourselves. So first thing first is we need to really rally up on platforms to really share these stories and really get people to understand the work that we're doing and how we are getting to do ABCD, right? So leveraging technology to, first of all, drum up that information and getting people to understand this is what is happening. We need your support. We need your action. Really moves people, right? And I'm sure you guys can attest that stories really do make things work. We've seen causes happening left, right, and center for a simple need where a community needs some water and someone posted a story on a video, and within days a company has offered to provide that solution. So first of all, telling that story and really providing avenues that those stories can be heard is the first way to really drive up people to also join the systems. Something that I've seen even with women in STEM is that one thing that we probably don't even spread and shout out from the world is the communities that we already have that are supporting women, right? So if we could introduce and just tell the world, this is the kind of people you can talk to if you're wanting to get into STEM. Here's where you can get the support. This is where you can get your mentorship. Is more likely to even drum up more innovation, because someone can easily reach out and say, I really want to advance this idea, but I'm stuck. What do I do? Who do I talk to? Where do I start? So first of all, just leveraging platforms to spread out the information, and then two, building these communities and leveraging them on these same platforms to improve our access to them. But yeah.
Right. Thank you for that. And when you talk about creating these communities, a big part of that is the key players within different industries. So I know that Olamide, you've worked with different on different projects rather, and how exactly, for people who are joining us who are business owners or who are the people who are actually calling the shots in their companies, how can they best create structures that create and encourage inclusivity, that encourage people participation, that encourage for all the different team players to actually work within the company's mission and vision and actually fulfill those goals? How do we create systems that are sustainable and that encourage all of our people within our companies?
Okay, so thank you so much, Grace, for that. And the conversation around inclusivity, diversity is now a major front burner in several conversations. And I think it starts first with organizations recognizing that um, inclusivity and diversity is not just good; it's the best way to go, right? I think there's a lot of justifying it from you doing good to society, that it needs to be understood that diversity and inclusivity actually is an advantage to your organization. And starting from that helps you to now say where really are the gaps, in terms of the policies. So, for instance, questions around um, um, our systems, do they allow a fair or a fair advantage or competitive platform for both of people of every kind and of every type? And that's quite important because interestingly, I've worked in a gender focused organization, and I've seen that beyond just being the precarious or the punitive way of trying to address this inclusion and diversity in organizations. It's just the process of tokenism, quota systems, and all. But I think that that undermines the fact that these people are, or this historically marginalized set of people, either from a gender perspective or from other perspectives, have valuable contribution to make to organization. So I think first it starts from that mindset, then it goes into culture. So how then do we define the culture within the organization? And then within culture, we now have different frameworks such as policy, that within even the work policy, code of conduct. What exactly does then? Yes, code of conduct. How people are treated, how people should be treated, the culture of respect. What does respect really mean? Respect for diversity, respect for different ideas, and all of that. And then finally, is now even going into being intentional around even structuring the organization in a way that it allows for that inclusion. So, for instance, if you have, is there a safe space for breastfeeding, for instance, for pregnant women, for nursing mothers, right? Is there a consensus for women who are pregnant? Is there a way to factor in productivity or flexibility for even maybe young people there are different ways to look at it, and it's not really a one size fits all. But it's saying it first starts from the recognition that diversity is not me doing that marginalized group a favor, but it is really important for my community. Then next is looking at how we build the structures around it, from policy, from the way we organize our recruitment, to even the way we do our staffing and all. And then finally, what are the intentional structures we put in place within either a space or even within a digital system that allows women and other marginalized groups, emerge and be valuable contributors to that organization.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I think a lot of people will agree that there's truly a lot of strength and a lot of things that we can gain when we support our people, respect our people, and are able to actively protect them and, keep their needs even outside of work, at mind. I wanted to introduce Tinashe, who is the CEO of Credible Pro, one of our partners for this event. I just seen him. I don't know if Tinashe, you're still with us. Tinashe, can you hear us? Okay. I think we've lost him for a bit, but we'll certainly come back. But I really wanted to, dig in on that point in terms of protection and creating structures. And I'll throw this to you, Natasha, and then we'll move on to the next question. Is as a company that connects job seekers and people who are looking to get certain work with recruiters, how do you ensure that you protect the people who are coming in and using your profile and coming in and using your systems? How do you ensure that you protect such people from certain things, or what measures do you have in place within your company?
Okay, thank you very much, Grace. One of the core values at WAPI is inclusivity. And actually, one of the reasons we started WAPI was because we wanted to create a space where people can access digital opportunities without biases. Biases on things like gender or color or race and things like that. We wanted to make sure that people are accessing opportunities simply because of what they can do, their skills that they have to offer, and what value they are able to bring to the project they're working on. So one of the things we have done on the platform itself is an algorithm called blind matching, and that exactly falls back in the structures that Olamide was talking about. We want to make sure that an employer is not, seeing a freelancer or knowing who they are hiring, not based on anything else, but they only get to know them after they've been hired. So what they have access to is the portfolio of the freelancer, what they've worked on before, their work, their skills, or if they are a developer, these are the let's say these are the languages that I do. If you can do a test or give you a small project to develop something, and if you're able to develop that, then that's when they are able to get the other contact information and get to know them in depth. Because we want to make sure that the reason you brought them in into your team is because of what they are able to offer. So it doesn't mean that if let me say I'm a developer, but because I'm female, you don't want to take me because I'm a female developer. We want to make sure that they are taking them because they are actually able to execute, and then the other things come after that. So that is just an example of something that we are doing at WAPI. But I definitely think that inclusivity is very important, but also it helps to empower people, especially in the digital era. And there are very many other things that can be done to make sure that everyone is included.
Right, all right. Thank you. And we applaud all the work that your companies are doing in terms of that. Over to you, Cynthia.
Thank you so much, Grace. Moving on to our next discussion point, I think I'll start with Eric. Well, we all know that there's a lot of potential in Africa and there's potential for people to do great things with technology. But one of the things that is deterring people from advancing and and getting into these spaces is finances and mentorship. So Eric, from your personal experience with setting up Razi and getting to where you are right now, um, how what how best can you what information do you think that a younger person who is trying to do the same thing probably that Razi has done, not the same innovation, but trying to get into the same space? How can they access finances? How can they access mentorship to make sure that they do not make the same mistakes that have been made before, and to make sure that their startups thrive in the current economy?
Thank you. I think the most important question anyone needs to ask themselves before starting up a company is, do you like what is the real reason as to why you want to start up a company? Because so many people think or start up a company because one failed to find a job, or like I don't see any job that is really good for me, so let me set up one. And yet, entrepreneurship should be really, how can I say, intrinsic rather than extrinsic, because there are so many challenges that you're going to find that are going to um, really push you hard to into this whole economy, and to ask you, are you really an entrepreneur, or you're just looking for a shortcut just to make money? Um, so I think you have to face the fact that not everyone can start or run a business, because there's some people who are really good at being a very good employee, or doing entrepreneurship, whereby they can innovate better much more if they're with another company. So I think that is the first most essential question to ask yourself: am I really an entrepreneur, or am I looking just for a shortcut? Um, then from that, if you find out that, okay, yeah, I really want to run a business, the first thing before even you talk about finance is talent, because all the investors out there, they on early stage companies, they invest in the person rather than in the business. You may have a very brilliant idea, or like to take people to Mars, using just $1 or something like that. It may be really a very brilliant idea, but then uh, investors really try to look at the person. Can you sell the idea? Are you a person that I can work with? Or are you going to be a person who's going to give me a very hard time, that can't listen or can't do that? So in the early stage, they really invest into the person. So growing your interpersonal skills, growing your network, should be the first things to work around, rather than selling as much of your business to these people. That is to gaining finance. Three, they look at you have to look at is, how easily can your idea be uh, replicable, like by another person. So the investor asks himself is, why should I invest in you rather than another person who's going to walk in through my door?
Yeah.
uh, how unique is your idea compared to other people? Or and the idea itself might not be extremely unique, but like the execution of it,
Yeah.
um, w- how is your idea going to make me my next million? Because everyone is investing because they want to make money. They're not investing because they're a charity business. Uh,
Yeah.
so the looking is, how fast am I going to make money out of you, or is your business going to burn a lot of cash for you to finally begin making money? I think this comes out to, let's say, if you're running a manufacturing business, so you have to buy so many equipments, test on so many things. So you find that you have to bleed a lot of cash for you to start now making money. And when you start making money, like what are your margins? So another thing is that before you reach out to these investors, you need to know the ins and out of the industry that you're in. Uh, Most of the times, because let's say I've grown up in a community, I've seen this is a problem. I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me just start a business to address that community. But
Yeah.
then in your pitch, you're trying to show that this is a global need, and yet in actual sense, it's not actually a global need. You need to understand your industry. What are the margins in in those industry? Uh,
Yeah.
how different are you going to leverage on the different players in the industries? What partnerships are you going to make? You need to leverage on what is your growth strategy. Uh, uh, because for when someone is investing, is looking at how easily scalable is your business. For you to
Yeah.
expand to a new geography, how easy is it for you to do that? How much
Yeah.
manpower do you need to do that? Is it easy scalable, or you need a lot of resources just to scale from one community to another? Yeah, I think so. That is another thing that these people look at. Um, yeah, I think quite a lot of things, but for now, I think those are the main things. I think
Oh,
just just pick up a bit is the most important thing is, why exactly are you starting a business? Is it
starting.
a way to get a man, just a way to make more money? Is it, or are you really an entrepreneur in that
Yeah.
space? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eric. Moving on to Olamide. I'd like to ask, you've done so much work with young people in Nigeria. Um, what processes does Jobaman Nigeria take its youth or young people through? If someone comes to you and they probably have an idea or an innovation that they want to put across, what processes do you take them through in terms of finance and mentorship to make sure that they're setting themselves up for success?
Okay, so Jobberman is largely a recruitment organization, a tech-enabled
Yeah.
recruitment organization, and so the bulk of what we do is, feeding talent into organizations or available job roles,
Yeah.
and so that we largely do not work within the entrepreneurship space. However, in recent times, in all our research and all of that, we found out that as much as we've been largely working in the white collar space, in that placement, in that placement spectrum, we also came to realize that there's a lot happening within the blue collar, the brown collar, and every other collar in between the lines, apart from white collar, right? As in Nigeria today, for instance, 95% of job or employment opportunities exist within the informal sector. And this is the informal sector where, there are several issues around it. So one of the things we have done is to say, how we are beginning to think of how do we get into this blue collar space. Another bit of it is, a lot of young people, due to limited job opportunities and all of that, are also interested in going into self-employment, right? People just want to get into pick up a skill and just deploy that skill and get paid for it. And then there's also the bit of gig work and that entire spectrum and space. So what we do at the moment is primarily, for those who want to get into jobs, what we do now is we find out that again, some people are very amazing, intelligent, bright, um, um, smart people who should be getting into, who went in, deployed into an organization will definitely create value. But unfortunately, they lack the ability to, or they lack the grooming to present themselves properly. From as simple as even how their CVs are prepared, right? From as simple as how they appear during an interview, from as simple as how they even communicate or how they even search for jobs in the first place, how they even set up profiles. So one of the things we do within the organization is, we help these young people to put together their CVs. We help them to get prepared for interviews. We help them to put together a profile that definitely gives them put their foot at the door in that sense. Beyond that, we also try to provide some of the other soft skills, like I mentioned earlier, things like emotional intelligence, things like communication. I remember we were having a conversation with some group of employers, sometimes last year, and they were like, we just want employees that know how to navigate email, that know how to send emails, that know how to navigate Excel and Word, that know how to justify documents. We are not asking for too much. All the other technical skills, we will train them because we would get them on board. But just have the basics, right? And we find out that many of these basics, unfortunately, are not basic to many of these young people. So we do all of that, grooming, workshop, just to ensure that people have that. Then we go beyond that to now organize career fairs, right? To now say, okay, you now have these things, you have these tools, you have the skills, you are now in quotes prepared to get into the workplace. But again, how do you get there? So we bring them into the same room, facilitate all of those conversations, and we do all of that. Much more in the pipeline is now seeing how we feed people again into some of these other gig platforms, right? Where there are limited spaces within different sectors, but diversification is probably a way to win, right? So one of the things we are working at doing now is how we channel these young people who are seeking employment opportunities into different platforms and all of that. So that's what the scope of our training and grooming of young Africans. That's more like the scope. Your mic is muted, Cynthia.
Thank you so much, Olamide. Can you all hear me? Yes. You hinted so much on grooming these people. This brings me to my next question, which I will present to Natasha. You are the CEO of WAPI. How how important is mentorship before one sets out on starting an innovation, or like even in the very early stages of the idea conception? How important is mentorship?
Sorry. Thank you very much, Cynthia. So I think mentorship is very important because it is the series of lessons or the series of a learning process of how you get to know how to carry yourself, either as an individual, as a co-founder or a founder, or as a startup altogether, or it could be even simply a
Yeah,
freelancer that is
yeah.
starting out in the gig economy or in the freelance world. Just like a baby, when they are born and they are growing up and have started going to school, it is important to raise them in a way that you want them to be maybe an influential person in society, or you simply want them to turn out into a good person.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as mentorship. You have an idea, you have an innovation, it's brilliant, but because you do not know how you're supposed to present it, let's say to an investor, like Eric was saying, you keep applying for these accelerator programs or for these investment rounds, and you keep
Yeah.
failing. Not because your idea is not good, but simply because maybe you're not doing your pitch deck the way you're supposed to do it, or you're not keeping time while you're pitching, or even when you're pitching, you're not telling them the things they need to know, the things they need to
Yeah.
hear. That's if it's a startup. If it's a freelancer, maybe they have the skills, but they're not able to employers or people that they can work on their projects for. Not because they do not have the skills, but maybe they just do not know where the places to find, first of all, the people
Yeah.
that would make use of their services, or they don't know their place where they do not know the place where they can put their portfolio, or they do not know how to execute their tasks on time, or how to communicate and write emails like Olamide was saying. So mentorship is important because it is where these different groups of people get to know the information that they need to know in order
Yeah.
to in their different aspects of life or the different things that they are working on. So mentorship is definitely important because without mentorship, you're literally stagnated, from you're not growing from one point to another, or consulting people that have been in these spaces before to find out how they did it or how they were able to thrive in those different areas. And yeah.
All right, thank you so much for that, Natasha. I think when talk about the idea of mentorship and the idea of creating societies that are able to impact incoming generations, I know a lot of the work that you're doing at the room now is not only going into the work of software developers, but expanding into also training in different areas. So, how exactly do we ensure that we're getting the right people and that the skills that they're learning are actually relevant to the job market and they're able to serve not only within that particular country, but they're also able to serve global audiences?
Yeah, thanks, Grace. And that's a good question because that's something that we honestly just asked ourselves as we even created the programs. The main concern was, are we actually empowering guys with skills that are relevant enough now, but also in the next future, and or even next on? Are they transferable? Are they skills that they can easily work with in whatever industry that they choose to go to? So one thing that we tend to do is just to literally go through what Olamide and Natasha shared. Can we get to understand what are your basic skills that you have right now? Let's assess what you have on the table. Then from there on, we can support you to build up on what you're exactly looking to get into, right? So once we see, you're struggling with a bit of communication or simply presentation, we present you challenges that you can easily progress with and see if the particular skill is improving. And even as you build on whatever program that you want to join, we simply want to make sure that we are, first of all, making sure that you're very good to go as it is with your basic level skills. But also, once you include the extra program, it allows you now to be even more marketable and be of great value to entrepreneurs. And something that we also really advocate is to take on the step of being very intentional about self awareness and being very intentional about your personal development, because that also really helps in understanding what space you want to get into and allows you to also identify what you need to work on, because it becomes very challenging for us to even support individuals and even build up these communities if they themselves don't understand, okay, maybe I have a challenge with communication, or my challenge is probably in presentation. So first of all, encouraging them to be self-reflective, understand what area you need to grow into, then slowly work towards improving that skill. And then now, of course, adding on to the relevant skills in whatever industry you want to get into allows us to really just give out some of the great candidates that we've seen joining different organizations across the globe. So it's a very intentional process and an intentional journey, both on our part and also on the candidates as well. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that. And I think also as we shift gears a little bit from what has been seen as a very strong capitalistic push towards, companies making money and companies being able to get the big bucks. So to
Grace, we may have lost you for a bit. Grace, can you hear us? Okay. We may have lost Grace. Um, we'll give her a few minutes to jump on.
Okay, I think. Oh, she's back. Chris is back.
Am I back now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll be back, please.
Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. The challenges of technology sometimes, but I'm glad we're all back. So, what I was talking about is sometimes it's such a great push towards making money that we forget that we're actually serving real life communities with real life needs. So, for someone who maybe is in the audience and is thinking, I want to start a business, and this person is especially a social entrepreneur who's looking to solve a problem in their society, looking to solve an issue. And I know that all of the companies represented here actually do solve problems in communities, whether that is unemployment or whether that is, that challenge and that of seeking jobs or things of that nature. How exactly can companies remain human in the way that they serve people, in the way that they give back to communities? Olamide.
Okay, I think it's first understanding that, Eric was speaking about what is important in going into entrepreneurship, and it's starting with why. Starting with why. And I think in thinking about your why, it's also about thinking, what value am I adding? And to who am I adding this value? You see, some other people will describe it as what problem are you solving. Some other people will describe it as in different ways or in different forms. But I think the fundamental is, whatever people pay you for is because you're adding value. So, and in my opinion, I think that fundamental understanding that whatever value I'm creating, it's man that will pay for it or it's humans that will pay for it, to literally help an organization to realize that, in my thinking and in my approach as a business, as much as profits is the end goal, people are central to making that profit. The only way you make profit is that people see value in what you're doing. And I think that one thing that COVID and the whole lot of things that happened in maybe Nigeria last year, happened is helping organizations to see that even customer loyalty has to do with how human the organization is. You see, a particular issue happened in Nigeria in 2020, October 2020. That's the NSAS. I'm sure it's probably what a whole lot of us have known about. And one of the things that happened then with the Twitter trend and social media hashtag was organizations that did not stand, or that did not take a stand, were literally losing credibility. You see, so there's this entire ESG approach now for organizations where you can't just say you're an organization that you just stay and you want to be very neutral around social issues or things that affect humans. You literally have to take a stand. People are beginning to call out organizations on the issue of gender equality, right? People are beginning to call out organizations on issues around, just recently, I don't know if you got into the trend around toxic work environment, right? You see how, so you see the world has changed and the landscape of business is also changing. So it's not just enough to have a product that is functional anymore. It's now important that your product is both functional and also appeals to whoever you call your customer. And that appeal does not necessarily mean is the best in the market. It only means that people feel you are humane. People know that you identify with their struggles and their realities, and because of that, they can identify with the solution you're providing. So I think that is really something that has moved well, something that has really changed within the labor market and the macroeconomic space.
Right, right. Thank you for that. And I think also, as we look into the idea of losing credibility, and I know for Razi, what we're looking to move into is not only providing data services, but also when you're looking at things such as humanitarian efforts and how you plan to serve communities, we're now moving towards sourcing data from the communities that would actually benefit from this. How important is it to have societal and in-person input into initiatives, either for companies, corporations, or even as a business yourself?
Just to give a little bit of input, context. So before Rwazi, if a company wanted data from, let's say, Nigeria, they would have to hire, let's say, Nielsen or McKinsey. McKinsey flies in a group of people, so they have to pay for the flight. For the flights for these data guys, they fly into the country, and then they begin doing surveys around Nigeria. Let's say Lagos, Nigeria. So they interview around 10 to 15 people, and then they do a market report about Lagos, Nigeria, from just insights that they have collected from only 10 to 15 people. And then they conclude that this is what the Lagos people are saying. And it's just 10 people out of the millions of people, which is so then so they give these insights to this company, and then the company ends up expanding into Lagos, Nigeria. The company starts to struggle within its first year to get its products tailored to the market tests, and then after like 5 or 6 years, they end up exiting the market. So all that money that has been wasted, billions on billions of dollars, just to find a product fit. So how we do it differently is we use the local people. The local people understand the market more than a very experienced McKinsey consultant. A local Nigerian will tell you, will understand better why he or she buys the products that they buy on a daily basis. So getting information from the local perspective rather than from an outsider perspective is more important for a company survival. So that is how we tweaked this data collection. So we reach out to the local individuals, to the local experiences, and the local people are voicing out their needs to these different corporations, and then they get paid to do that. And in these these corporations, they get to hear what exactly the unfiltered opinion from these markets. Yeah, so that is how we tweaked that experience.
Right. Thank you for that. And I think also when you're looking to serve specific communities, what sometimes we've seen, especially in the recent past, is a lot of performative kind of defense towards certain things or performative actions. And Lillian, can you just speak to how exactly do we, especially in the spirit or in the culture of cancel culture, how are we able to identify organizations that actually seek to serve people, that actually seek to solve their problems? They're not just doing it so that they can put up a prop and say, look, we did X, Y, and Z, or look, we're able to do 1, 2, 3 things. How, as consumers, and also I think as participants within the global market, can we be able to identify who, so to say, the real good guys are in an age of performative exercises?
Yeah, a great question that we actually get quite a lot from people. So first things first is something that I truly believe, and Eric can hopefully attest and share, is that the overall leadership team should embody what they are saying, right? And that is usually what I would consider as a one green flag. Yeah. So the moment you identify and see that the leadership team, whoever it may be, from the CEO to the CEO to the people person, is more or less involved in avenues that actually advocate for, equal pay, diversity, inclusion, and all of that, you're likely to find that the same culture replicates towards the entire organization, and it trickles down. So that's one way that I definitely view it, and that's how I look into just seeing, is an organization actually selling the real deal, or are they just, putting up a show? And then the other is also just looking at different individuals who are part of the team. If you find that organizations or employees really just don't talk more about the organization and the work they're doing, then it begs the question of what exactly is happening. I mean, we do have organizations that limit that, but you will find that individuals who've been part of it are either sharing a testimonial, engaging in conversation elsewhere, or even simply engaging in conversation online without necessarily having to, tag the organization. So these are people who are comfortable because the organization has really nurtured who they are as individuals and therefore are able to share more. So looking into different employees, reaching out and simply asking, what is the culture here? What has happened? What is something that you're worried about? And then the other one is simply research. We are lucky to be in a day and age where technology has allowed us to access information that would have been otherwise behind closed doors. So you'll find sites that share more information about a company. And in more or less than not, I mean, there might be some exaggerations, but it's always good to also just read and see, is this true? Has it happened? And then now, of course, do your due diligence to confirm that this is actually true. So, first of all, the leadership team is number one. Number two is, are they actually embodying and allowing employees to be themselves even outside of the office? And these are individuals who can do, can venture into their hobbies freely without having to feel constrained. And then three, do your due diligence, do some research, identify different people who are, sharing their insights all over the internet, and then of course confirming that it's true.
Right.
But yeah. Mhm.
Right, thank you. And I think it's important when you say that, because the other side of that coin would then be how much is too much, because you don't want to be the organization that's always hollering at certain things and calling out people, because then what happens if you're the ones on the other side of being called out, or what happens when, for example, you share information, say on Twitter or things like those, that isn't exactly accurate. So I'd like to pose that question to you, Eric. As a leader within a company, and I think even as an industry leader within technology, how can companies find that balance between, we want to stay active, we want to stay responsive to the things in the world, but we don't want to do it so much that sometimes we can even scare off investors because sometimes you look too controversial. So how can companies do that in a, so to say, safe way for themselves? Oh, I'm sorry. I think you're still on mute.
Yep, thank you.
All right, there you are.
I think this boils down to the company's objectives and what is the long-term vision. Um, having laid down a very good a roadmap for the company and bringing every stakeholder on board. Of course, there will be times where not everyone agrees, but then what is the real purpose? Why are you exactly in business? Because so many times you may get, there are so many causes that may happen that are not even anywhere related to what the company is doing, and then you end up the founders end up in a rabbit hole doing something that is not even directly correlated to what they're supposed to be doing, and then they end up losing costs, they end up losing trust for the investors, and also the few clients that they had end up finding other service providers. So I think it comes back to whichever cause that you're fighting for, how does that tally up to your general business vision? How does that support your vision? Does it make you or does it break you? Is it all of just gain? Are you just after fame for the company or as a marketing stunt? And if it's a marketing stunt, what is the cost? So you have to do a cost analysis for your company. Me standing up for this cause, how is that going to affect in the long term? Is it going to benefit me or is it not going to benefit me? And if you don't have an answer to that question now, that means it's not the right time to
Right.
do that. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's really important to do. And it's almost like a cost benefit analysis on your part as a leader of the company, then in that case. I see that Natasha is back. Glad to have you back. I think I'll pose the exact same question to you. How can companies stay responsive to community needs, to problems, societal issues, and still maintain some kind of level headedness in their operations without seeming too aloof or too controversial? Natasha?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Grace. I think that more companies, sorry, more companies are taking it up now upon themselves to have like some sorts of community segment within them, right? Now, what the community segments help you to do is to make sure that you have maybe this space where the people that you're trying to serve are can come together and you can come together with them. Now, what that helps you to do is to know, the issues that are concerning them, the products that you're dealing with, or the brand that you're trying to grow. Is it actually serving what they need, or are you overshooting, or going below? So that helps you to always keep in the loop, in the constantly to keep in the loop of the issues that concern them, for you to understand if your product is serving what they need, or if there's a way you can adjust it. And I think that for those that haven't taken it upon themselves, should do the same. For example, at WAPI, we've intentionally created a community space where we are constantly engaging with these maybe freelancers, to make sure if there is an opportunity, they are the first people to know because they are part of the WAPI community. If there is maybe anything that we are doing that needs to be adjusted, maybe to serve a new upcoming need, that we can do that. Or every week we're maybe holding a Twitter space to make sure we bring an influential person in a certain aspect or in a certain freelance field to address these people, to let them know what they need to know in order to be better at what they do, in order to craft their art better, and things like that. So I think that it's important for companies to go ahead and take it upon themselves to always constantly keep in the loop of what's going on and how their brand can better serve the people they are trying to serve, or address the cause they are trying to address.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think it's really important that companies stay responsive and companies stay responsible, and they're able to take up issues in community that they serve, and not just take from them. So thank you so much for a lovely conversation. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of it, but not to worry. I'll give you all a chance to give your closing remarks on the matter of leveraging technology, and then after that we can certainly close. I'll start with you, Lillian.
Yeah, thanks, Grace, for having us. I think this was a great discussion, and I really learned a lot from the rest of the panelists. My parting shot would be digital platforms have really allowed us to, and I say digital platforms in blanket form, and this is just for technology, right? Has allowed us, first of all, to reach opportunities that were no longer possible. But at the same time, it is also your intention to make sure that you use the same technology to grow, understand what works for you, and use that insight to grow yourself by either doing programs or even just taking on personal development courses to really know what value you can give to individuals out there, such as Eric and Rwazi, right? So by taking the time to understand that these platforms have allowed you to access this information allows you to better yourself and bring yourself to be of value to everyone and anyone who you interact with, whether your community, your job, your business, or even your as a person. So use technology to grow yourself.
All right, thank you for that, and also thank you for the work that you yourself are doing and the Room Global in general. Natasha, and then we'll close with Eric, please.
Okay, thank you, Grace. First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to have WAPI on this space. It's really nice, and there have been very insightful ideas that have been shared. Maybe just to add to what Lillian has said already, yeah, I think people should really go ahead and take advantage of the technology to make sure they can add value to the spaces they are. Because there's a lot of technology that has been disposed, especially in this era, like was said earlier. So it would be cheating our own selves if we are not taking advantage of it to make sure that we are better people, but also better in the spaces that we are serving in. And maybe one more thing is that the company that you surround yourself with also determines the things that you're interested in. If you're constantly, surrounding yourself with people that are taking advantage of the technology tools or trying to learn better, you will definitely be part of them. So it's important that we pay attention to the kind of people that we surround ourselves with, such that there are people that are helping us add value to ourselves through the various technology tools that have been disposed unto us. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you so much, Natasha. Eric?
I want to thank everyone for the team that organized this great event, and also for all the people in the audience. Want to thank you guys for your patience, and also I think my closing remarks, one from the employee side perspective, I feel like uh, we're living in a world where you can learn something without going to the university. You can enhance your skill set through the different platforms. Um, so you don't need necessarily to have gone to an institution for you to put a certain skill set as part of your resume, or to like for those employees that are trying to move from one position to another in that particular organization. I think constant learning through different platforms. If it's even on YouTube, it's quite necessary. For people that are running organizations or that are running businesses, even for like managers, I think it's always good to know, to update yourself on what is happening out there on the market. What are people offering on a daily basis? What are the new platforms that are being used? For example, you might be the head of recruiting. Um, some company may be already using some other platform to recruit people while you're still, doing the interview things, or doing uh, the old ways of recruiting. So basically, trying to stay updating yourself with what are the different channels that are up, and what are my competitors that are using for them to grow their own businesses. Yeah,
Right.
I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm. Thank you so much for that, and we really appreciate you. I see Cynthia is back. Kindly, Cynthia, go ahead. Oh, I think you're on mute. Yeah. You're not back just yet. I think she's no, just not just yet. But I think maybe let's take a beat and then you can try again. But as Cynthia figures things out on her end, we want to thank all of you, first of all, to our panelists for making time to be with us and for sharing your invaluable insights with us. We really appreciate that you took the time, and also for the organizations that you represent for partnering with us and for allowing us to, learn from you and be inspired by you. Also, to our lovely audience for staying with us, learning with us, engaging with us. We'll certainly be here tomorrow. That's Saturday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. East African time. We look forward to talking with you and also learning more, especially about the gig economy and personal development as we look to find more opportunities in the future. I'd like to give Cynthia a chance again, if you're able to speak now. All right, I think still having a bit of technical issues on that end, but not to worry. We'll be here tomorrow, and we can't wait to see you, hear from you, learn from all of you. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for taking the time to honor us with your time and for learning with us. Keep growing, being inspired, and learning with Rwazi. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great afternoon, great evening, great rest of your day, and it was our pleasure to have you all. Goodbye.